Dirty Birds fans, it's official. The very first Kevin Stefanski presser is in the books, and we're going to react to everything that he had to say, kind of in a nutshell. I can't go over literally every word verbatim that he had to say because we'd be here for an hour and 20 minutes. But on this episode, I'm going to kind of surmise exactly what he talked about in his opening press conference with new president of football, Matt Ryan. And before we get going, if you were able to tune into us or you saw it live on YouTube or on your television, wherever you saw it, if you had to grade Kevin Stefanski's opening press conference, what is the grade that you would give him? Let me know in the comments section down below. My grade would be a B-. I thought there were some things, ideologically speaking, that he said that were really good, and I think he said some things in practice and in terms of roster construction and his message to the players and his overall philosophy that I didn't necessarily agree with. I thought he had a couple of really questionable answers, which is why I give it a B-. I don't think it was horrible. I don't think it was great. I just think it was kind of like the hire itself, a B- to B hire and opening press conference. Now, what did he talk about specifically? Well, he talked about the overall theme of this Falcons team and what he's going to bring as the head coach. He talked Tommy Rees and the coaching staff. That's a big one right there. We'll touch on this heavily. And the players that he's excited to work with and kind of what it's going to look like once we get into the hiring of a GM and roster construction. So the ideology that you need to know about Kevin Stefanski's team, and this is what he said. He wants to cultivate a brotherhood amongst the players. He also wants to build off of the success that this team already has. And by success, he means roster construction. He identifies that the Atlanta Falcons have a really good defense in place. He identifies that there's a really good young core group of players to build around on both the offensive and defensive side of the football. Where it gets a little bit dicey for me is when he says, I just kind of tried to get to know the players and try to really, introduce myself and kind of pick their brains on what kind of player they are. You should already know what kind of player Bijan Robinson is. He's amazing. And I know that's a blanket take, but if I were the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons and I'm introducing my ideology to my players, I am telling them that accountability is paramount. We are taking full accountability for what we bring to the table, and that includes myself as well. I'm going to be demanding, therefore you should be demanding of me and the players around you. I would also demand, speaking of, a winning culture. Ben Johnson did this in Chicago. He said, we're not going to tolerate poor practice habits. We're not going to tolerate not doing our jobs. We are going to demand that we start a brand new winning culture here in Atlanta. That starts with rigorous practice habits. If you're not practicing the right way, you won't see the field. That is my guarantee to you. And, of course, the foundation of belief in the staff. Because ultimately, it comes down to the coaching. Are the coaches preparing the players to do their jobs and execute on the field? And if it doesn't start with the accountability factor, none of this matters. So it just bleeds all into the foundation of belief in your coaching staff. You got to take charge of the locker room, Kevin. No more of this, hey, it's nice to meet you. Let's talk a little bit about, what the expectations are going to be and how we can improve upon last year. No, your job is to walk in there and say, if you want to win football games, it is going to take every ounce of your effort and belief in me and this coaching staff to get us back to the playoffs, which we have not done in 8 seasons. That is how you need to take charge of the locker room. The X's and O's, by the way, so if we're talking about pure football perspective, pure football mentality, if they're going to build off the run game with Bijan Robinson. He also talked a lot about the tight ends, which we'll touch on here on the back half of this episode, and why he loves multiple tight end sets and usage of heavy play action, which is great because it's something that Zach Robinson never did, and a strong emphasis of the offensive line, which is why you went out and hired Bill Callahan, one of the most trusted names in building a solid and foundational offensive line. Before we continue on with everything that Kevin Stefanski talked about in his press conference, the coverage on the Kevin Stefanski era can be found from yours truly and you're going to have to subscribe for the truth. I'm going to give you my unfiltered truth and what I see from this team, and you have to join the 50,000 strong that are already currently on this platform and subscribe to this channel. So do me a favor, lock us in and hit that sub button today. Let's talk Tommy Rees. This was probably the biggest bombshell moment of this entire press conference, is that Kevin Stefanski admitted that Tommy Rees is going to call plays for the Dirty Birds. We're going to touch on what all of this means, why I think this is probably not the smartest decision on Kevin Stefanski's part, and we'll touch on, like I said, the X's and O's of that in just a moment. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Prize Picks. The big game is officially set. Patriots playing the Seattle Seahawks. And this is the last chance that you have to get in on the real money sports action for the football season in 2025-2026. So do yourself a favor, close out the season the right way by downloading the Prize Picks app and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. They got a brand new feature alert. Prize Picks now has early payouts, meaning if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Speaking of lineups, it takes 30 seconds to make one. You pick your player, the more or less in their stat projections, and you watch your money multiply up to 2,000 times your cash this football season on Prize Picks. So do me a favor and download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. Who is Tommy Rees? And why is he calling plays? He's a former quarterback for the University of Notre Dame. He was named the offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns, which was his first offensive coordinator job in 2020, or in the NFL, I should say. And their offense ranked 30th in the 2025 season. Now, that isn't to be confused. The Cleveland Browns had literally no help. Their offensive line was a joke, and they didn't have really any wide receiver help at all. The only thing they really had was Quinshon Judkins, and yeah, that's kind of about it. Their offensive line, by the way, which I just mentioned, ranked 31st in total efficiency in 2025, which is butt booty naked, awful, terrible. It's awful. So the Falcons' offensive line, getting Caleb McGarry back and having a swing player like Storm Norton coming back as well will only help the continuity of this offensive line, which notably is probably middle of the pack right now in the NFL. It steadily got worse as the season went along, but I think that was also because of the player mentality and just overall giving up on the season. I also know that Tommy Rees is player adaptable. He's somebody that emphasizes pre-snap motion and quarterback pocket mobility, but as Kevin Stefanski alluded to, and not even alluded to, he just outright said it, Tommy Rees is very green when it comes to calling plays in the NFL, which I didn't like him saying. If you're going to talk about how your coordinator doesn't have a lot of experience in the NFL, you want to talk about the upside that he brings. And while he did say he does have a lot of experience calling plays, it was in college. So it didn't really sit right with me. I would have said I have all the faith in the world that Tommy Rees is going to take all of the talent that we've got currently on this roster and all of the talent that's going to come in on this roster and mold it to exactly what we feel like we need to go forward with in this offense, which, by the way, is going to be Bijan-centric. They're going to run the football a lot. You might see 2,000 rushing yards from Bijan this year, which would be great. But does it translate to wins? That's the ultimate goal there. And I think, like I told you guys about a week ago, you have to make Michael Penix or Kirk Cousins or whoever the quarterback is in 2025 kind of the complementary piece of this offense. Bijan has to be the focal point. Complementary piece, passing game, build off the run, take what the defense gives you, and kind of manage the game. Here's another thing that I hate. Yeah, I like I told you, I hated the experience comment on Rees. I didn't like it at all. Thought it was just kind of a unnecessary comment to make. Falcons fans don't want another learning process with their offensive play caller. They don't. So Kevin Stefanski, who notably has given up play calling twice in his career, is putting that in the hands of Tommy Rees, which I guess you could argue shows confidence in Rees's ability. But if it already failed in Cleveland and you've acknowledged that it's a learning process with Tommy Rees, why would you hire him? It's just food for thought to me. I didn't think the Tommy Rees hire was that great, and I'm a Notre Dame guy. Some players, though, that he did talk about that he's excited to work with: Bijan, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. Obviously, Pitts is a little asterisk next to his name because we don't know if he's going to be on the team next year. The other two are definitely the focal points of this offense. Excuse me while I take a little sip of water. One thing, though, that I did love that Kevin Stefanski said was the tight end comment, where he said, I love the tight end position. I really, emphasize the use of two tight end sets, which all the best coordinators in the NFL do. Ben Johnson does it. Shanahan does it. Kubiak does it. McVay does it. All of the best offensive-minded head coaches run 11-man, 12-man, 13-man personnel. And here's the exact quote, by the way, that Kevin Stefanski said about the tight end position. I love the tight end position. It's a positive. I've coached and gotten to see up close firsthand what this position can do. Here's why that matters. There is a notable tight end who's hitting free agency that's played under Kevin Stefanski that I'm sure he's been on the phone with already and could use a bigger role in the offense. David Njoku. I think you need to keep an eye on David Njoku. I really do think that this is a big-time player that you could go get in free agency day one after Kirk Cousins restructured his contract and gave more cap availability for the Falcons to be a little bit more aggressive in 2026 free agency. Before we wrap up on today's episode, are you excited for the Kevin Stefanski era in Atlanta? You have to be. Because if you're not excited for the Kevin Stefanski era, it's going to be a long 2 years, my friends. And that's the leash. Just like with Raheem Morris. Everybody thinks that when the Falcons hired Raheem Morris that I was, hated it from the beginning. I didn't love the hire, just like I don't think this Kevin Stefanski hire is an A hire. But I also gave Raheem Morris a full season before I even called for his job. You got to give him at least 1 year. And then year two, it's like, dude, you've got to put, results to the paper because time is ticking for this fan base. That's all I got for you on this episode. I'll be back a little bit later on today or tomorrow with more thoughts and analysis surrounding the Dirty Birds. As always, Falcons fans, rise up and be cool.